Welcome back, folks. Dow Industrials are up 45. You get the Nasdaq up 13. S&Ps are up 5. Let's go over to our man, Mr. Darrell Martin from Apex Investing. Darrell, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Doing fantastic.
Cool, man. Cool. So, currencies, we've got a lot of movement in currencies over here. You know, markets themselves. I heard that you've put everything you have into the lira.
Exactly. There's so much going on over here right now. Well, pound, you know, it had a nice little pop last night, then came on back down. And, you know, we got the euro's also moving. So really, the euro and the pound are the main two movers that I've seen today. What have you been seeing on the of course, you got pound yen. So
yeah, and you know, folks, if you haven't test driven the Nadex platform, it's a great time to do it. Because what you do have here is that whether you're trading indices, whether you're trading commodities, currencies, these currencies have been moving, and they've been moving pretty intensely, and not necessarily at our market hours, which is pretty cool.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
when you get a regular job. I mean, that's what it really comes down to.
Off-peak hours, definitely.
Yeah, off-peak hours.
You can trade them from, what, 6 p.m. to like 3 p.m. the next day.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, it's intriguing, of course, is that, you know, of course, you have the lira that's pushing around a lot of other currencies, but then we have Great Britain. It's like, what are they going to do? I mean, you know, what's so wild is that we haven't heard about, you know, Brexit in, Brexit out for the last 3 days.
Too much going on in the world to talk about that.
Exactly.
We have like 4, 5, 6 months before all that gets sorted out.
That's going to be...
I say, obviously, sarcastically. They have a lot to sort out in the span of about 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man.
Yeah.
You know. So the... well, you know, looking at Bitcoin, you know, Tommy got a chart here. This is pretty intense.
This is pretty cool. So I posted this in the den.
Yeah.
And it's from a tweet from Joe Weisenthal. Oh, no, I just deleted it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So if somebody had bought the Turkish lira, taken the Turkish lira and bought in Bitcoin, if you're in Turkey, January 1st, you take your lira, you say, you know what, I don't trust the lira, I'm going to put it into Bitcoin January 1st, you have less money today than you would have just stuck with the lira, which just speaks to how hurt Bitcoin really has been.
Yeah.
And of course, it was up at 20,000. It went below 6,000 today. But when you look at that chart, it's pretty staggering when somebody just says that to you.
He should have a chart of their gold, too, to see how much gold you'd have. You'd have a lot of gold.
Sure.
Even though gold's down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, when you're taking a look at Bitcoin, folks, of course, you remember that you can trade the weeklies in them, you can trade the monthlies in them. So there's some action there.
We're at some critical levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is a fantastic instrument to trade if you want to take advantage of that volatility, because you are going to get your volatility. So I know I hear, you know, sometimes you'll hear traders complain about lack of volatility. It's like, you know, check out crypto. So it's definitely something worth looking at. And then but it's also like people are a little nervous to trade it because, you know, just the insane volatility. It's that double-edged sword.
Oh.
And
that says, careful what you ask for. Right? You want some volatility? We'll give you some volatility.
Seriously, man. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's, you know, when you put this on the chart, and so I just put it on a daily, right? And you go back to December, which is when it was at 20,000. As you come into, you know, there's your January, where are we? So there's your January, which is 16,000. That's what it speaks to on that lira. And these moves look tiny, right? But man, when you get in here, you're going from 82,000 to under 8,200 to under 6,000. Huge moves, let alone the run up 6,000 up to 8,500. I mean, you don't see those moves in equity markets.
It's a big number.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah. So what else are you looking at out there, Darrell?
There's not. I mean, it's been a little bit quieter today as far as, you know, just this session.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been monitoring, you know, as usual, Nasdaq, you know, Dow, stuff like that.
Sure.
Just haven't really got the movements that I like to trade on. So I'm just sort of, you know, sitting back and being patient.
And that's important. There's no doubt about that. Oil, we've had some good movement in oil.
And gold, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just looking for volatility, what do you think about some of those markets, Darrell? Have you been watching those commodities? What's you know?
Yeah, I mean, energies are great. So I love oil, and I love it when it climbs up, of course, obviously. And just because, you know, when it comes crashing down, it's fantastic. But that bear suit, right, Tommy?
Oh, so, listen, I'm just laughing at the volatility. It's been both ways, right? It's like no matter what year. I mean, I just pulled the chart back. I mean, talk about Monday, right? You go from Monday 67.50 down to almost 65.50. And guess what? We're back above 67.50 now, man. It doesn't take long. Right up to 68, yeah. And of course,
we got a couple good, like 15, you know, 20-point moves on NASDAQ that were, you know, catchable. So as far as on that side, but I see a lot of things just hovering around settlement right now. I did not have oil up this morning, so probably wish I would have, right? But
yeah, I mean, there's
I didn't-
volatility in a lot of places. So.
I didn't catch what you just said
And
there.
he did not have oil up this morning.
Oh,
He probably
okay,
should,
okay,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, on the flip side, I just pulled up the NASDAQ, and that's quite a move as well. 74.60 down to 7,400, now 20 points right back up from that level, so...
yeah.
It seems to me we got a slow roll happening, meaning the market's rolling over, you know.
To the negative side, is that right?
you know, and because what's intriguing is that, you know, when it's August 14th and you look back, it's January 26th, the high was in the Dow Industrials. That's quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And,
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You can forget that pretty easy when, you know, the S&P is right next to its high and the NASDAQ is at high still, you know.
Yeah. And then you get the talk of Apple hitting $1 trillion.
Exactly.
You get Amazon, Jeff Bezos taking over the world. So
Apple's going to go broke now.
Who says?
Erdogan, because
Erdogan?
yeah,
Okay.
you're not going to be able to buy iPhones. He
heard,
wants
yeah.
everyone to boycott iPhones in
Yeah.
Turkey.
I'm sure Tim Cook is shaking in his boots.
That's gonna save the lira.
Not a lot of common sense coming out of Turkey right now from their authoritarian regime. So
Darrell, I think you're gonna have to call your daughter, tell her you're gonna sell all the horses, put them into lira now, so that you can buy a big ranch.
But no iPhones, sure. With that lira. Too funny, man.
As long as we can still get Samsungs, I think should be okay. So,
Yeah.
they got the new Note 9 coming out.
I
Is
saw
that the
that.
$1,000 one there?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
So, do you have a Samsung or an iPhone?
I have Samsung. I used to have iPhones.
Okay.
And I don't know, years ago when they switched all their plugs,
Yeah.
and I had like everything was built for my iPhone. Like, I mean, you know,
Sure.
speakers and plugs. And I was like, well, if they're going to switch the plugs, I'm going to see what else there is. Not that I was going to leave. I was just going to
Right.
see what else there was. And then I got my hands on a Note, and I've never looked back. I love the Notes.
Do you? Okay, cool. That's good.
Yeah.
to
Once
know.
you're in an ecosystem, it's tough. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you have an
I'm a
Android
Samsung.
phone. I
Yeah,
have an
right,
iPhone.
right.
I did have an Android in the beginning, but I was only in there at about a year or two, or my
Right.
first phone, where it wasn't
Right.
fully caught up in the system.
Right.
But
Oh,
they
yeah.
both have-
I stayed away from Androids at first because they were so complex and also different. And, but Samsung's taking it to a different level. I mean, to me, they're actually more intuitive, even, which I mean, it's hard to believe, but are easier than iPhones. So I like them a lot.
Well, it makes sense, right? If you have a Samsung, that's what you should think. Otherwise, if you thought Apple was better, you'd be an Apple person. That's because that's how I feel about Apple.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that's
I
the
like
intrigue.
my stylus.
Right? No, listen. It's amusing in terms of that. When I heard that number, you didn't think Samsung's come a long way, man. Because if you ever said Samsung could compete with Apple for a $1,000 phone, Samsung always had the maybe a little bit cheaper. I don't want to say
They
that in
did.
a negative manner.
Yeah,
but,
no,
you
no,
know,
you're right.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
and to be competing for $1,000 phones is right up there with the best of the best.
No, I
And-
love
and-
I love Samsung.
Yeah.
Period. Just appliances. They have a lot of good products.
I
Just-
agree.
There's no
I
doubt
have some
about that.
Samsung.
Well, they tie everything together, I mean, really well.
Yeah.
So, like Samsung TVs, I can just put a button and everything's like on my
Yeah.
That is nice. Yeah.
Okay, man. Listen, you have a great one, safe one. Of course, we look forward to speaking to you next Wednesday.
All right. See you then, man. Have a good one.
Tuesday. We'll get there.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Talk about time flying. Summer going by.
Oh, that's good.
Don't
I
we
like.
need
Hey, when
updates?
I'm a day ahead of myself, that's a good thing.
Right.
I'm
You
not
just got an
behind.
extra day. Perfect.
Yeah. Stay right there, folks. Tommy and I come right back.